Yay! Set another one. It's another chart I created. See photographic triangles of lighting. Hooray! Try to keep things really simple. Some people say, oh, well, he talks too much, he just repeats himself, which I certainly do that here and there. Humble apologies for that one, I suppose, right? Let's hit the start button. Photographic triangles of lighting. You have two different triangles. You have the composition lighting triangle and the subject lighting triangle. This is really keeping things simple. We're talking about something that's really complex. Because back in photography school, I mean, they would piss and moan about this for weeks, and they could have boiled it down into something simple like this. However, perfecting these two triangles is obviously something else, a different level of difficulty. By the way, I put a quote up there that says, correct exposure is accurate photography, but creative lighting is professional photography. That's one of my quotes. Put up there at the top. Composition lighting triangle. What does that mean? It means the entire scene, obviously, the composition of the shot, including both subject and background. Number one, obviously, is lighting angle, the contour, the geometry, the isolation or separation that you give, not only to respect the dynamic range of the foreground and background and or the subject also, most importantly, obviously, so the subject. Number two, bokeh or bokeh. I think you've seen probably a few hundred videos about bokeh. We don't really need to discuss bokeh, right? An important one is lighting compression or lighting dilation. This is where we're talking about speed light or studio strobe work. Insanely important. The really awesome photographs that turn out with amazing color saturation. Because your camera is always starved. Well, you can stick the best damn lens on your camera, but if the sensor and the lens are starved of sufficient light for really good saturation and isolation of your subject, then the pictures look like snapshots, because that's what the hell a snapshot is. There's reason for like these octoboxes and beauty dishes and like my neat little invention over here, which I call the beauty box, which is totally a unique invention. It combines a beauty box and a beauty... All of this stuff is important. What the hell does it have to do with photographic lighting? This is the compositional lighting triangle, the most important part of it, which is the speed light or studio strobe work. What does compression and lighting dilation mean? Okay, say you got a subject outdoors, right? They're backlit. Background's nice and bright, your subject's pretty dark. That's the perfect composition, except your subject is dark. Oh, okay, so say it's really bright out there. You're like out in the desert, but the sun is behind their shoulder. It's like, well, I'll just drop some light on them as fill flash. Well, that is a novice or elementary position to compress the dynamic range between the foreground and background, and that's what it is. It's dynamic range compression. Because you got huge speculars in the background, wow, tons of light, but not enough light on your subject, So what you're doing by adding fill flash is you're compressing the dynamic range from out here where there's tons of light, wow, to your subject here, and you're compressing it so it falls within the dynamic range of your camera. That's the elementary method of seeing light. Another thing you could do is you can go, well, I can add some fill flash and I can compress the dynamic range so everything is kind of like nice and evenly lit. Or what I could also do is I could take this crappy ass 3 p.m. light, because everything out there is just blasting bright. And then what I can do is I can expose for my ambient, i.e. my really dark backgrounds. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to max. This is the wonderful thing about a leaf shutter, by the way. The magical, the magical property of a leaf shutter that your damn camera, including this camera, can't do. Leaf shutter. Leaf shutter. Is you can raise the shutter speed or drop down that aperture, and then you can turn what looks like what is 3 p.m. really bright lighting into like early, you can make it black. It depends, you need an ND filter in addition to that with like a leaf shutter. You can make it a lot darker, or you can make it look like early morning or late evening lighting. My motto is, and I love to have it as a t-shirt, I love a t-shirt that says photography, and underneath that it says, and this is my motto, make light your bitch. Because that's not only funny, but that really is what photography is. I want a big T-shirt. Someone else has like, you know what other people's T-shirts are. I'm never gonna sell T-shirts, by the way. I want a T-shirt that says "Make light your bitch." What you're doing is, instead of just adding some fill flash to your subject so that it compresses the dynamic range, is what you're doing is you can manipulate your ambient, your background, to make it look however you want. You can either leave it the way it is and add fill flash, and that's elementary photography, or you can go, screw it, it's too bright back there, I want to give interesting subject isolation to my subject. And then what you do is you can either stop down your aperture or raise your shutter speed up to the maximum sync speed. Like, say this camera, it's like, oh my god, I can only do 250 of a second sync speed. With a leaf shutter, you can do anything. Anything! You can bring it way the hell up there, 4,000th of a second. And do flash photography. But anyway, I'm limited on that, so I can bring it to 250, stop down my aperture, f8, whatever, and then raise my subject up to whatever illumination that I require. That is where professional photography occurs. Here's how the pedestrian things, like, I'm going to add some fill flash. That way everything's nice and illuminated. Okay, that's fine. It's valid. It still looks like a snapshot. Or you can think, the first thing I'm going to think of is what sort of a dynamic range I want between my subject and my background. I want my even though it's 3 p.m. and just bright as shit out there, I want to drop it down and make it look like 8 p.m. lighting. Okay, I'm going to raise up to my maximum sync speed. If you got a leaf shutter, I mean, it's really easy to do with the leaf shutter. Again, that is the magic of a leaf shutter camera. Ha 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 ha! The leaf shutter magic. Or unlike in a camera like this, I can stop down. And it's like, well then, now you've exposed your ambient, but now your subject is like pitch black. It's like, no big deal. I'm going to turn up the power on my speed light. Now, if it's too far away or too big of a subject, that is what these magical things called studio strobes are for, because they can drop some serious boom, some serious lighting, so you can just crush the piss out of your ambient, and then, you know, raise up some lighting for your subject. Make light your bitch, right? So it's the dynamic range separation between your subject and background. This is what I'm talking about in the photographic triangle of composition of lighting, is that it's either lighting compression or lighting dilation. You can either compress it or you can actually dilate it. Okay, once you got control of the light, you're not going to control the ambient lighting from, like, 20 miles out there in the background. There's nothing you could do with that. Well, sure you can. There's those neat little dials on your camera. So you can either compress the dynamic range or you can dilate it, whatever suits what you need. The second triangle over here to the right, like I said, I got the link below for this, is the subject lighting triangle, and this is really, really important. This is where you're not only focusing on proper illumination of your subject for exposure, which is fine, we want it exposed properly, but what about creatively lighting it to give it definition? And this is where a second speed light comes into play, and a third one, like a hair light, a rim light, a primary. Okay? It's like, why do you need 3 lights to illuminate one subject? You just stick it right there and go boom. It's the same reason that a speed light sitting on the hot shoe of your camera makes for a shitty light. People say, why do you buy it? Why are you always recommending TTL cables or flash cables? Because lighting illumination sitting on the hot shoe of your camera looks like crap. The only people that use that are photojournalists and news photographers and paparazzi. Everybody else that has a half a brain about lighting knows that the lighting that sits on top of your hot shoe sucks ass. Sucks. The subject lighting triangle here to the right. Specular / highlights. Then we have shadows and diffuse. Is about where the light falls, the gradation. The size of the gradation between your midtones and wherever those fall, wherever you want them to fall. Okay? Everything's about lighting control. Your speculars, your highlights. Say you just want to do a rim lighting. You only want like a sliver of someone's face to show up. It's like, well, I use a studio strobe and like a 15-degree grid over here. I can even use a 10-degree grid. Gives you insane lighting control. When you have, make light your bitch. That's why I want a t-shirt that says make light my bitch. Where they fall. Where the specular, the highlights fall. Where the diffuse falls and how big it is. Not only where it falls, but how big it is. You could have hard contrast lighting or soft contrast lighting. Soft contrast lighting basically means a large zone of midtones or diffuse. Speculars, diffuse, and shadow. So those are your two triangles, and if you can master these two triangles, you will beat the piss and crap out of 99% of everybody out there, okay? I mean, I could teach somebody exactly, how to throw on a grid, a honeycomb grid on their studio strobe, and literally within one day, just show them 20 different things that they could do that could radically alter their portraiture photography. It's not that hard. Then when you look at somebody, it's like, well, this person, I want them to look angry. Lighting controls everything, too. You can take an awesome-looking chick and make her look like a hell-bent witch with the correct lighting. And by correct, I mean incorrect. Say it's Halloween. It's like, I want to take this pretty chick and make her look like a witch. It's easy to do with the correct lighting. If you know where to place the lighting, you can make that person look like a demon. Or it's like, I got a wrinkled old puss here. She's like 80 years old. She needs I'm going to erase that, and I don't mean Photoshop. I'm going to erase those wrinkles in her face. You know what? There's a magic tool right over here for that. It is called a ring light. My buddy out in California who bought this ABR 800. Yay, what's up, dude? Yacht Club, man. That machine is a moneymaker, by the way. They ought to call it the old woman wrinkle remover. Because that's what the hell... It also makes for really beautiful light. Beautiful! There is nothing that will make you more money faster than that damn ring light right over there. Nothing! That thing will pay for itself like that overnight. I got 2 of them. You buy that in a power pack and you are going, money! You know how few people out there own a ring light in photography? Very few. And if you... you could take the wrinkles... Or you could take the bags. It's like, well, not everything has to be done in Photoshop. You know what is easier than Photoshop? Is to use a ring light to remove those baggy, puckered-faced looking people. They have their wrinkles and, the age lines and whatnot. I'd have lots of age lines if my face wasn't so fat. Because I have had enough stress and enough worry. I got video of me really, really skinny. Some of the first videos I made, man, I got some serious wrinkles. Ooh, some serious wrinkles. This is all about lighting. Lighting. So those are the 2 triangles, and if you can master those 2 triangles, you have made light your bitch. And it's like, it's just 2 triangles. It can't be that hard to master. Yeah, all 3 of those together, and knowing where to put them, when to put them, and how to put them, it's not super easy. But I could teach someone how to understand the scope of it in a matter of a few days. It's no big deal. Yeah, believe it or not, I don't own 7 studio strobes because I don't know how to use them. I was like, you're just a gear whore, you sit behind that desk, you fat bald bastard. I actually do know how to use these tools behind me, contrary to what my crappy Flickr page full of test shots. I don't have time to do anything anymore. It's like I'm making videos and pounding on the keyboard, answering comments and emails all the time. If you're a local client... and you want to see my portfolio, let me know. But you better prove that you're a local client. Other than that, I don't like social media. I'm on YouTube, which is social media, but I'm not a social media creature, okay? If people don't like that, I don't give a damn, I'm not running a popularity contest either, so. Everybody thinks that, anybody on YouTube is, running a popularity contest. Yeah, show me your Barbarella. I want to see, what are you going to do? You going to hire me? No, I live 1,000 miles away. What? Why? Why should I do that? Why? Well, I love hearing that. I get that all the time. Anyway, so those are the 2 photographic triangles of lighting. These triangles, and this is a copyright myself, but if you want to share this with anybody, feel free to share it, even though it's copyright me. My little condensation of professional photography, which is lighting. Only 2 things that define professional photography: composition and light manipulation. When we say light manipulation, we mean make light your bitch. Okay? Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Adios. Hasta luego. Увидимся. До свидания. Пока. Aloha. And all that other crap.